Hey guys, welcome back to the ODUrent YouTube channel. My name is Kobe Lomax. I am the marketing intern at ODUrent, and today I'm going to be giving you guys some tips on how to rent an apartment. So the first thing I think we all know is when you are going to finally take that leap and live on your own and be an adult, you have to be responsible. This is a no-brainer, but you are doing adult things now, right? So you have to act like an adult. Now, this can feel kind of weird, and I can relate. Trying to be an adult, right? Act like an adult while at the same time having little to not much experience on how to be an adult and what adults do, type of. This sounds so crazy, but you guys get what I'm saying. It can be a little nerve-wracking because there's so many things to consider and there's so many questions and concerns and things like that. But one of the things that you want to consider when you are going to rent an apartment is not only how much the rent is, but how much your bills might be, and also how much the application fee is, okay? You have to pay to apply to rent an apartment. I know it sounds crazy, right? But it's just like school. When you apply to go to a university, you have to pay an application fee and then be accepted into the school in order to go to that school. And if you're not accepted, it's not like you get your application fee back. So it's similar with apartments. Typically, you have to pay an application fee. Now, at ODUrent, our application fee is 100% free, $0 to apply to rent at ODUrent, but most apartments you are going to have an application fee, and so that's something that you have to keep in mind and keep in the back of your head when you're trying to save up and find a place. It's not just the rent that you're going to be paying. There's a lot of other things, and one of those things is the application fee to actually have a chance at living there. So that's one thing to definitely consider. And also another thing that you want to do is don't apply for just any apartment that you see and every apartment that you see. You want to go around, take tours of the apartments, and figure out which one you really want to live in, because every time that you put in an application, one, you're paying, but then two, they're pulling your credit and they're pulling your background every single time. So what you want to do is find the apartment that you want, go to a bunch of different ones, see which one you want, and then apply to that one. And then if you don't get into that one, then apply for the next one. Another cost that you're going to have to be, just aware of is furniture. You're going to need furniture. You're going to need something to sleep on. You're going to need something to eat on. You don't want to spend all this money and save up all this money to live out on your own finally, and you have to sleep on the floor because you didn't budget for a bed. A really great thing that you can do, especially if you're on a budget, is to take your furniture from home, take your bed from home, your desk from home, whatever furniture you have at home, bring that to move into your new place. Another thing that you can do is find free furniture, like on Craigslist, the free section. Yeah, it might be used by somebody else, but it's better than sleeping on the floor, So that's one thing you can do. You don't need to buy everything brand new. Another thing to keep in mind is don't try to keep up with the Joneses and don't be caught up on what everyone else is doing. It's so easy to look on social media and be like, oh, she just moved into an apartment and she got all this brand new stuff from IKEA and this place and that place, and that's her, right? That's not you. So don't run yourself broke or be struggling to just try to keep up with what everybody else is doing. Listen. Handle your needs first. That's most important. So if you gotta take your bed from home and get a free couch from somewhere online, from Craigslist or somewhere online, and some of the stuff that you'll find is actually really good, really nice stuff. So, don't look down on, finding free furniture on the Craigslist free section, or getting a hand-me-down from family or something. Another thing that I mentioned in our last video is to go take tours. Go see the places. Call them, set up a tour somewhere. We have an online system, so you can just go online and set up a tour and pick a time and all that stuff. But whatever you gotta do to set up a tour, set up a tour. Don't be scared, and you can even go to places that you don't think you can afford, because what will happen is they don't know that. They don't know what your budget is. They don't know how much money you got, and you don't have to tell them either. Just go on a tour as if you really are considering living in this place. You're bringing them business, so you don't have to be nervous at all about going on this tour. So go on a tour, see the apartments, See if you can feel yourself living there. And then ask them a lot of questions while you're on the tour. You know, ask them like, when is the rent due? What is the grace period, right? Like maybe I can't pay my rent on this day. How long do I have, you know, to get my money together before I get a penalty or get a charge or something like that? What is the grace period, right? Like how much time do I have if, let's say I just couldn't make rent right now on this specific date, but I get paid in 2 days, you know? What is your grace period? Also, another really important question to ask is, who are the typical, you know, residents who live here and who rent here? Are they older people? Are they younger people? There are definitely communities where there are older people renting, and there are other communities where there are younger people renting, or maybe there's a community where there's a lot of families renting. But you kind of want to know that, you know, like here at ODUrent, we have a lot of younger people, a lot of college students. And so that's important to know because, you know, we know you're a college student, you want to have fun, you want to have your friends over, you want to have a party here and there, and we understand that. We know, you know, that this is what our typical renter is. So we're not gonna come knocking on your door saying, hey, do you have more than 2 people in here? You got, you know, like we're not gonna do that. And if you decide, hey, I want to have a little party, do it responsibly. Know everybody who's going to your house. I'll make a whole nother video on how to host a party in your apartment. But you need to do it responsibly. You need to know every single person who comes in. But we know you're gonna party. Like that's just a part of the college life. Every apartment's not like that. You know, if you are going to rent in a community where there are older people living there, they will call the phone real quick and put in a complaint that my neighbors are up there partying. Literally, you could just have your music a little too loud and they're probably gonna call and like, hey, they're being too loud up there, these kids, you know? So you wanna be aware of where you're living, because that could really affect the experience, you know, for where you're living. You know, like you don't want to have these old people who are your next door neighbor, both next door neighbors, and they complain about every little thing you do, right? So ask them, who are your typical residents that live in this area? You know, who rents here? Are they like older? Are there a lot of families? Are there a lot of young people, young professionals? Like just, you want to ask those questions so that you know who is in your community, you know? Another thing I recommend is, if you're gonna have roommates, don't go half and half on utilities, right? So don't go half and half on a fridge. Don't go half and half on a microwave. Don't go half and half on a blender, because in the event that you guys move, you know, you split up, you go apart, who's taking what? And you don't want there to be arguments and disagreements, and then y'all fall out because you couldn't decide who's taking the fridge because y'all went half and half on it. So I would just recommend you guys talk through whose is what, right? So that when we move here, when we leave out of here, I'm taking this, you're taking that. And then everything's just good, and you don't have any of those arguments or issues over whose is what. When you are going to rent an apartment, a lot of times they will pull your credit, right? They want to check to see how good are you at paying your bills, right? And paying money back. And so sometimes they can actually turn you down if your credit is not good enough or where they want it. So try to get your credit score up, and you can do some research. There are tons of videos online about how to get your credit score up. And then my last tip, when you are taking a tour of the place, go talk to the neighbors. Ask them, how is it living here? What's good about living here? What's not good about living here? What could be better about living here? How have you liked it so far? How long have you lived here? That will tell you a lot. And you know, try to figure out and get a feel of what it's like renting there, because who's gonna know it better than the people actually living there? And also, don't just take one bad review or one bad thing that somebody said and just take that as a key and that's golden and this place sucks, you know? Like, so I would, if you're gonna take a tour and go and ask people, don't just ask like one person and just take that as the answer for everybody. Go around and knock on a couple doors and ask like, hey, so, you know, I'm thinking about moving here, and just kind of want to know, you know, what is it like moving here? What is it like living here? What has it been like living here? That's gonna give you a really good idea of how they feel about this community and this place and where they're living. So yeah, that's all, some tips for how to rent your first apartment, some things to be aware of. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you enjoyed it. If there's anything else you would like to know, like me to make videos on, or somebody else from the office to make videos on, definitely leave a comment down below, ask your questions, because we are here to help you. But that's all. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.